second azan.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على حي على الفلاح، حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
अशहदु अल्ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह वहदहु ला शरीका लहु व अशहदु अन्ना मुहम्मदन अब्दुहु व रसूलुहु। अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। Today we are going to look at chapter 5 verse 33, which is Surah Al-Ma'idah. And the verse says, إنما جزاء الذين يحاربون الله ورسوله ويسعون في الأرض فسادا أن يقتلوا أو يصلبوا أو تقطع أيديهم وأرجلهم من خلاف أو ينفوا من الأرض ذلك لهم خزي في الدنيا ولهم في الآخرة عذاب عظيم. I will only translate the part of the verse that's relevant to our khutbah today, and it says, the punishment for those who wage war against Allah and His Prophet and strive to make mischief in the land is that, and then it carries on and it ends by saying, make mischief in the land is that they should be deported from the country. And then some people, Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ali, for example, has translated that as they should be sent to prison. Because he argues that deporting from the country literally means take them away from earth. So you can't put them into space. So what it stands for is take their freedom away. But I've literally, I've used the translation, or they should be deported from the country. Obviously the country where they're living, of which they are citizens. Before I comment on the case of Shamima Begum, who's been much in the news recently, and the Home Secretary's decision to bar her from entering UK by revoking her British nationality, I just want to remind everyone that this is the same Home Office which just before the Second World War said Jews were living in Germany quite happily. None of them were being tortured, none of them were being persecuted, none of them were being killed, and this is the same Home Office that refused to give those people political asylum. This is the same Home Office that allowed those people to enter the UK and give them political asylum. It was individuals who broke the law. It was individuals who broke the law and smuggled in these Jews so that they may apply for political asylum. So I just thought it's interesting to know the background of the Home Office. Now, you see, what the Home Secretary has done is partially used Islamic law, as I just recited the verse of the Holy Quran to you. But let's see the background to this. United Nations, there are two conventions. One was agreed in 1954 and one in 1961, and they both said that you cannot deprive an individual of their nationality if they only have one nationality. You can't deprive them because that will leave them in limbo. If they're in the United States and you deprive them of their British nationality, what are they going to do? They can't send their kids to school there. They cannot work there. They can't do anything. So this amounts to persecution and inhuman treatment, so you can't do that. Now what happened was that British government, certainly since 2010, has been trying to deport many people. And I think it started in a big way with that Muslim Imam Hamza from Jordan, that they tried to deport him, and he kept on winning his appeals against the Home Office in the European Court of Human Rights, etc. And there were many, many revocation orders, there were many, many deportation orders that the Home Secretary issued, which were rejected by the courts. The courts in this country, forget about the European Court for Human Rights. A few people were deported because the law says if it's conducive to the public good. Is this person's presence in this country going to do harm or is going to be beneficial to the people of this country? And if it's conducive to the public good, then you can revoke a person's nationality if they've got somewhere else to go. So in the end, like all politicians, the Parliament got fed up with these judges interfering in the smooth running of the government. So what do the politicians do? Well, in some countries, they just put judges in prison. But the British, being more sophisticated, they changed Section 40 of the 1981 British Nationality Act and put in there a provision that allows the Home Secretary to take away people's citizenship and basically leave them stateless because they lost so many cases in the court. And the result of that was that this happened in 2014, and in 2017 the number of the number of people whose citizenship was revoked suddenly leapt up. It was down here and it leapt up to over 100. And I mean, I had an argument with a judge in the upper tribunal who was saying, Mr. Aziz, but the Parliament has made this law and you are asking us to go against this law. Is that what you're asking? We can't do that. Our tradition and system doesn't allow that. To which I said, but sir, this was the defense used by the Nazis at Nuremberg. That the German Parliament passed this law, kill all the Jews. And they said to me, well, the Parliament has decided this, now you take the Jews and you put them in gas chambers, so now why are you putting me to death? So I said, why did you decide to hang those people? They were following the law of the land. I said, we look to courts to save us from these sometimes nasty and horrible politicians. And you're saying the Parliament has said this, so we can't do anything? So, but the question is very interesting, you see. Why did the Home Secretary revoke Shamima Begum's nationality, British nationality? Why didn't he say, and this is an alternative, let her come back to the UK, and because she may have been involved in criminal activity, in terrorism, what we are going to do is this. We are going to put her on trial. And we are going to let her defend herself. We'll say to the Crown Court, well, here are the charges, here's the evidence, let her defend herself. Why revoke her nationality so that she can't come to the UK? Politicians don't do anything without reason. There must be a reason. And the reason is this. If Shamima Begum had been allowed in, charged with terrorism or other criminal activity, and put on trial, that would be an open trial. That would be a public trial. This is a basic tenet of British legal system, that the accused is allowed to face their accuser and defend themselves publicly. This is why you have a jury, because you're tried by your peers. People like you. And this is why, if you remember, anyone remember Charles II? But perhaps we weren't born at the time, so maybe we don't. This is why when he was charged and put to trial before the House of Lords, he said, I don't recognize your authority, go away. The basic tenet of British law is that I must be tried by my peers. I am the king. You may be lords, but you're certainly below me. You've got to find 10 kings to try me. So I don't recognize your authority. But anyway, what happens in a public trial? BBC is there, ITV is there, The Times is there. The Mirror and the Daily Mail are there. All the news media are there. They're listening to the evidence that is being put against the accused, in this case Shamima Begum. And they're listening to the defense that is being put. And they can also draw their own conclusions, and maybe these things will be published in newspapers and shown on televisions and so on, and you and me will be able to draw our own conclusions about her complicity in these things. But the British government does not want to do that. They don't want a public and an open trial. They don't want the evidence they have to be tested in an open court. Now, if you take away someone's nationality and they want to appeal, that appeal is heard not in an open court. That appeal is heard in what's called a special immigration and asylum chamber or court. What's special about that, you might ask? What's special about that is that it's a closed court. Well, you might think, okay, if it's a closed court, so what? People can't go in, the Times can't go in, Telegraph can't go in. That's fine. But surely she can still face her accusers and defend herself. No. What's wonderful about the Special Immigration and Asylum Court is this, that neither the accused nor the accused lawyers are shown what the evidence is against the accused. Only the judge is shown the file. Only the judge is shown the file. If I'm accused, I'm not allowed to see what the charges are against me. I'm not allowed to see what is the evidence based on which I'm deprived of British nationality. It may actually be this khutbah, for all I know. But I'm not allowed to see that. Who sees it? Intelligence officers that compiled the file in the first place. Home Office officials. Interestingly, the barrister, who may not be a Home Office official, but simply representing the Home Office, he is allowed to see the file. The Home Office barrister is allowed to see the file, but Shamima Begum's barrister and solicitor, they are not allowed to see the file. What the charges are, what the evidence is. Can you now understand why the British government decided to deprive her of her nationality rather than let her come back, let her arrest her, let her charge her with terrorism or other criminal offences, and then try her in public open court? It may be that they don't have sufficient evidence. For the first, I mean, she's 19 now, she left when she was 15, so up until 18, she hadn't reached the age of maturity. So she was a minor. But is this the first time that this has happened? Is this the first time that some British teenager or some British student has left the country and gone off to fight, perhaps even as a mercenary, or certainly gone off to fight in a cause that he or she believes in? Do you remember Ernest Hemingway, famous American writer, author of For Whom the Bell Tolls, and other stories and novels and so on? He went to Spain as a correspondent. But being an American, he hated monarchies and he hated kings and so on, And these were Republicans, these were left-wing people who were fighting this king. So he ended up fighting King's armies, basically Franco's armies, with the left-wing forces. Hundreds of British university students left university and went to Spain to fight with the left-wing forces against Franco's armies. Now, the question I ask you is this. These two United Nations conventions weren't in place. International law was different. Did British government deprive any of those, not to put too fine a point on it, any of those white Christians who went to fight in Spain, did the British government deprive them of British nationality? Did the British government arrest any of them when they came back and put them on trial? I mean, Britain is a monarchy. Spain was a monarchy. These people were fighting against a monarchy. So why weren't they deprived of their nationality? Why weren't they charged with criminal offences? After all, they weren't having a picnic in Spain. They weren't sunbathing in Marbella. They weren't out there for their summer holidays. They were out there specifically to overthrow a monarchy. They went out there specifically to join an army of rebels. And no action was taken against them. Ernest Hemingway, I've used his name because he was the most famous one, among others, he went off back to America to live on an island just off Miami and write his books and sign contracts for those books to be made into Hollywood movies and earn millions of dollars. The American government wasn't bothered that he'd gone off to Spain, joined an illegal army, an army of rebels, was involved in gun running. But you might say, well, that was a long time ago. It wasn't that long ago, actually. 1930s, I guess, or some era like that. What about the Jews? When there was this rumor that Israel might be created, Jews, oh, let's go back a bit actually. British were given the mandate for Palestine. And the Jews started migrating to Palestine. From Russia and America and Britain and France and Germany and many other places, the Jews went and settled. At that time it was called Palestine. And they wanted Palestine to change into the state of Israel and be given independence. And when the British didn't, there were three gangs, all of them consisting of nationals of other countries. There was the Stern gang, the Haganah gang. The Haganah gang then split, and out of which came another one called Irgun gang. And you know who were the people who supported these gangs, who were members of these gangs? Menachem Begin, later to become Prime Minister of Israel, was a member of the Irgun gang. Israel didn't exist, so he didn't have Israeli nationality. He had the nationality of, I forget which country it was, Polish, of Poland. Golda Meir, who later became Prime Minister of Israel, these gangs wanted money, or this gang wanted money to buy arms. And they estimated that the American Jews will only contribute $7 to $8 million to buy arms and ammunition for these gangs to attack and kill the British, who had a mandate from the United Nations to look after that area. She said, "Let me go." Golda Meir said, "Let me go." And she went to America and she raised $50 million and she used it to buy arms and ammunition and have it shipped to Israel, to these gangs. Wasn't that a criminal offense? Golda Meir was originally, I think, from Russia, but she had become an American citizen. Did the Americans deprive her of American nationality for raising money to buy guns? Did the Americans deprive her of American nationality because she was gun running? She was illegally buying arms and ammunition all over the world. Certainly in America, certainly in Europe, and having it shipped to these gangs, these criminals? Did the British Prime Minister, did the American President shun Mr. Begin or Mrs. Golda Meir when they came to London or went to Washington? Or did they open their White House and 10 Downing Street and lavish dinners and lunches on them? No action was taken against any of those. No one was deprived of their nationality. As the example I gave, Golda Meir. Why didn't the Americans deprive her of her American nationality and say, "You're raising money for gun running, for terrorist activities"? Shamima Begum was, to put it mildly, an extremely foolish teenager. The statements she has made recently on television are foolish and stupid, to put it mildly. The second one, we do not support Shamima Begum and what she did and what she stands for. But what we stand for is this, that the law should be the same for everyone. Law should be the same for everyone. The gangs that I referred to in Israel, United Nations declared them as terrorists. The British and the United States governments declared them as terrorists. And yet, when it suits people, suddenly these laws and rules and regulations are remembered and quoted at us. But when it doesn't suit them, they are forgotten. Let me ask you a question. Let me make a statement that I've not heard on television or read in newspapers. How was Shamima Begum different from those white girls in Rochdale and other places who were groomed and abused? How is she different? There is no difference. Some evil people bearing the names of Muslims groomed those white girls in Rochdale. Some evil people bearing Muslim names groomed Shamima Begum. Some evil people abused those girls. Some evil people abused Shamima Begum and her friends. Was it conducive to public good that these white girls were being given drugs and engaging in prostitution? But we have sympathy for them, and rightly so. Because they were teenagers, they were foolish, they got taken in. So how is Shamima Begum different? She was underage, she was 15. For 3 years, until she was 18, British law regarded her as a minor. I don't mean people who dig up coal from the ground, but, underage. Hadn't reached the age of maturity. And this is what we are trying to say. Apply the law, but apply it to everyone equally. Bring her back. Charge her with whatever criminal offense she has committed. Find out how and why she was groomed. She wasn't the only one, there were 3 or 4 others. And how that grooming can stop. That is the most important thing, because these are evil people who groom gullible youngsters. It happened in Pakistan. When Americans attacked Afghanistan, there were many Maulvis who went around saying jihad has now become a duty of every single Muslim. Go and fight Americans in Afghanistan. So all these gullible young men, these teenagers, they left their schools and their colleges and their jobs and so on, and off they went. And on the border, what were they given? Double-barrel shotguns to go and kill Americans who were bombing them from 30,000 feet. These are evil people. These are the people that you need to catch. These are the people that you need to deprive of nationality. These are the people that need to be put in prison. It's a sorry state of affairs that every time the ideology that is blamed is Islam. Islam is no more to blame, that communism was to blame for Stalin's murderous assaults on the peasants and the small farmers. And Islam is no more to blame than Hitler is to blame, than Christianity stands to be blamed for Hitler's murderous attacks. Although Hitler wasn't the first one, if you would remember. In Spain, Jews were burned to death when Christians took over from Muslims. So we are pleased that the Home Secretary has turned to the Holy Quran to follow the law. But it is unfortunate that he's misused the Quranic law on deportation and deprivation of nationality. Before I end, I must ask you to say prayers for all those who are sick. There are some of our members who are sick and undergoing operations and so on, or who have already undergone operations in different places, such as New Delhi, such as India, etc. We have members in Fiji, in San Francisco, etc., who are ill and in need of our prayers. We should pray for everyone, that Allah keeps everyone safe and sound and free from harm. But these friends, brothers and sisters, have specifically asked for our prayers. So I request you to pray for them on their behalf. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Qur'anil Azim wa nafa'ana wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim innahu ta'ala jawadun karimun malikun birrufur rahim. Alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina मन यहदिहिल्लाहु फला मुदिल्ल लहु व मन युद्लिलहु फला हादिय लहु व अशहदु अन ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाहु व अशहदु अन्न मुहम्मदन अब्दुहु व रसूलुहु। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि मुहम्मदिन कमा सल्लैता अला इब्राहीम व अला आलि इब्राहीम इन्नका हमीदुम मजीद। अल्लाहुम्मा बारिक अला मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि मुहम्मदिन कमा बारकता अला इब्राहीम व अला आलि इब्राहीम इन्नका हमीदुम मजीद। अल्लाहुम्मा अंसुर मन नसर दीन मुहम्मदिन सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम वजअलना मिन वख्ज़ुल मन खज़ल दीन मुहम्मदिन सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम वला तजअलना मिन इबादल्लाह रहकमुल्लाह। इन्नल्लाह यामुरु बिल अदलि वल इहसानि व इताइ ज़िल कुर्बा व यन्हा अनिल फ़हशाइ वल मुनकरि वल बग़्यि यइज़ुकुम लअल्लकुम तज़क्करून। उज़्कुरुल्लाह यज़्कुरुकुम वदऊहु यस्तजिब लकुम व लज़िक्रुल्लाहि अकबर वल्लाहु यअलमु मा तस्नऊन। अल्लाहु अकबर अशहदु अल्ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह अशहदु अन्ना मुहम्मदर रसूलुल्लाह हय्य अलस सलाह हय्य अलल फलाह क़द क़ामतिस सलात क़द क़ामतिस सलात। अल्लाहु अकबर ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह। अल्लाहु अकबर। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन अर्रहमानिर रहीम मालिकि यौमिद्दीन इय्याका नअबुदु व इय्याका नस्तईन इहदिनस सिरातल मुस्तकीम सिरातल्लज़ीना अनअमता अलैहिम गैरिल मग़दूबि अलैहिम वलद्दालीन। वत्तीनि वज़्ज़ैतूनि वतूरि सीनीना वहाज़ल बलदिल अमीन। लक़द ख़लक़नल इंसान फ़ी अहसनि तक़वीम सुम्मा रददनाहु अस्फ़ल साफ़िलीन इल्लल्लज़ीना आमनू व अमिलुस्सॉलिहाति फ़लहुम अज्रुन गैरु ममनून। फमा युकज़्ज़िबुका बअदु बिद्दीन इलैहिस्सलाहु बिअहकमिल हाकिमीन। अल्लाहु अकबर। समी अल्लाहु लिमन हमिदा। अल्लाहु अकबर। अल्लाहु अकबर। अल्लाहु अकबर। अल्लाहु अकबर। Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Wal 'asr innal insana lafi khusr illal ladzina amanu wa 'amilus solihati wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Allahu Akbar. Sami Allahu liman hamida. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Astaghfirullah. I forgot to announce that because of the shortage of time to Asr prayer, we will combine Asr with our Friday prayers. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر اهدنا الصراط الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الرحمن الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Astaghfirullah. I thank everyone for joining us for our Friday service. Your ideas, comments are always welcome because they allow us to improve our service. We must be doing something right because the number of views both online and immediately afterwards is increasing. And there are people from many different countries who take advantage of our Friday service. Not to mention some friends who emailed me from remote places in the UK, Wales and so on, to say that they can't possibly get to a mosque. And they're very grateful that we offer this service, which enables them to join a Friday service. So we are grateful for your comments as well. Until we meet again next Friday, I pray that Allah keeps all of you safe and sound and free from harm. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and goodbye.